Welcome to part 2 of doing up these 3 bikes for a very special family. If you haven't seen part 1, go back and maybe watch that first where we do up Emily's bike, she's the mum. In this video we're going to do up the other 2, the 2 kids' bikes. So we have a Giant ATX, bit of a mountain bike, and a Fluid mountain bike, which is a sort of own brand bike from a store called Anaconda here in Australia. They're like a sporting goods, outdoor goods store. Here we are looking at the Fluid first, and before we can even look at it, my dog was pretty keen to throw a bone, so you can't say no to that face. Shame my terrible throw didn't help though. So anyway, we're looking at this Fluid. It's got some brake issues, it's similar to the other one, it's got some obvious rust and also just terrible gear shifting. Does not go to the top cog at all, as you can see here. I am trying my best. So a bit of an adjustment on the derailleur, but I'm sure the lack of lubrication doesn't help either. So we'll definitely be looking at that. Front derailleur seems to work fine, even though the chain is rusted as all hell. Brakes sticky as, they just sort of lock in place, completely sort of seized up. So realistically, you're not going to get any decent braking out of those. And other than that, just a general tidy up. So here it is in the stand, in the workshop. Time to get moving. We're going to blast through these 2. Like I said in the last video, this isn't my usual sort of build where we completely strip them back to the bare bones. We're helping Emily out by doing up these 3 bikes for her. And we're going to clean them up as nice as we can, but we're not going to go 100% because the bikes just aren't kind of worth that sort of time and money. But here we are, we're taking apart that derailleur, stripping it right down. Bit of lube in all the pivot points. We do some general purpose grease, so some bearing grease on the spring. Giving the derailleur a quick clean up with a wire brush there. Helped a little bit. And then I just saw how bad that dork disc was, so that had to come off. So there we go, a bit of grease on the thread. Make sure there was enough lube in that freewheel, and back on it went. Stripping the back brakes there, making sure they're all super clean and greasing up those pivot points because they were just shocking, and that's all they need. Literally, bike servicing is worth its weight in gold, same as a car. Just something, you just got to do it. And keep them out of the weather if possible. So there we go, the cable was still actually in fine condition, just a little bit long for my liking, don't know why. Brake cables are always left so long, they're only ever going to stretch, so they're only going to get longer in my opinion, so keep them short, stops it from hitting your legs, your feet, and just generally being annoying. I think on this one I'm getting confused because I've knocked out 3 bikes in a fairly short amount of time, but this cable was pretty good. Felt fine. I probably lubed it up a little bit, as I often do if I'm reusing a cable. I've just used some Tri-Lube for that. Is that what it's called? I think so. Tri-Flow, that's what it's actually called. It's really good stuff. I kind of use it for all the pivot points as well as general chain lube and just anywhere that needs a nice thin oil. Free hub, free wheels, perfect for that too. If you've got a really worn out one, but it's like maybe an old vintage bike, something like that, where you're not going to easily get one, Tri-Flow. And here we go, that was in degreaser. I put that in, let me rephrase that, that wasn't degreaser, that was, what's it called? Rust-Oleum. Rust-Oleum? Evaporust. We got there in the end. Had that in Evaporust overnight. Cleaned up an absolute treat. Chucked it in the degreaser in the ultrasonic cleaner. I'm getting there. And a lot of lube. There was no wear to this chain, and I don't like throwing out things if I don't have to, and I also like to try and reuse things where possible. So we put a new quick link to put it back together, but other than that, a good old clean and some lube worked absolute wonders, and it came up a treat. So there we go, same old cable, just with a bit of adjustment, lubed up derailleur, and a bit of adjustment there too. And she's shifting beautifully, no issues at all. And realistically we spent nothing other than a new ferrule for the end of the cable and a bit of lubricant. So we finished the rest of the other one up off camera, just needed some light adjustments, but as you can see we are onto bike number 2 for this video, the Giant ATX. So let's have a little squiz, have a little up close look and see what it needs doing. Finally, bike 3. That one, 3. In the stands. It's a Giant ATX. And this one for me is going to be the trickiest because it's copped a bit more abuse, and it will cop more abuse because it's a more capable bike and it's an older kid riding it. So we've got to make sure this one is spot on. So as with the other ones, rusty stanchions. These gears are doing nothing at all. Like that's literally for about 4 clicks, just does nothing. You can see me clicking there and that derailleur is not moving. Rusty chain, rusty cassette, but as with all the other ones, it's in pretty, minimally used condition. It's just had a bit of weathering to it. So let's get to it and start fixing it. Before I get the montage going, let's just have a quick look at this. Look how much travel. That is maxed out. Lever travel, could go further. And the end of that cable is about 14 foot long. And that's from factory. Like, I'm pretty sure that's how this would have come. So pretty strange. But that's why we're here. Back to the time lapse, and we're starting at the rear just because there are more issues in general with the rear, so I wanted to get them sorted. Brakes were very sticky, and also the pads were not adjusted properly, so they were actually not touching the rim. So no braking at all on the rear, so we give them a clean, give them a lube, back on they go, and you're laughing. A bit of air in the tubes, as I said in the previous video, get that done at the start, so to make sure they hold air throughout the whole build. And watching back the video now, I remember that both of these hubs were absolutely just notchy as hell. They'd been over-tightened, still fine with lube and everything, but it's probably over-tightened from factory almost, so bit of lube, bit of a clean, and a proper adjustment, and they're spinning beautifully now. But yeah, very, very grindy when I got the bike. Also surprised to see a freewheel on this bike as opposed to a cassette, but I would have thought for a more modern bike and not a completely bargain basement bike that it would have had a cassette, but nope. So learn something new every day. Adjust those brakes properly, get them very nice. Lube up the cable, but no need to actually change the cables on this one. Just shorten that cable because they're always way too long. So we had the shifting issue. It wasn't shifting at all. I've gone to adjust the cable, but that just did nothing. Taking the chain off, and we're putting a brand new cable and inner and outer on this one. So we'll get back to that in a second, but pull the old cable out. We're ripping the derailleur apart since we're here anyway. May as well strip it right down because this thing obviously has some serious shifter issues. So cleaning that derailleur in the ultrasonic, stripping it down to nothing and getting everything spotless because I just want to make sure this thing is shifting perfectly. So there I am in that video. It's an internally routed derailleur cable for the rear. So new outer going all the way through the frame, new cable for the shifter itself. And while the derailleur's cleaning the ultrasonic, we rip apart the front, get some of that rust off with a wire brush, bit of wire wool, steel wool, and they come up looking great. Look, they're not perfect, but better than they were. Front brakes were the same with that super long cable. They weren't working, they weren't adjusted, and they were a bit grimy and sticky just from being left out in the weather. So a bit of lube, a bit of a clean, and as always, they come up working a treat again. We've pulled that derailleur out of the ultrasonic, give it a wash with soapy water, get all that degreaser off it, and then blow the crap out of it to make sure there's no water in there left to seize anything up again. And then a full grease with some bearing grease, copper grease on the threads of the barrel adjuster, make sure that doesn't seize up. And that derailleur is looking brand new again and feeling awesome. Quick update on this one. Knew it was going to give me a bit of trouble, and my trouble was here-ish, sort of. Good upshift, terrible downshift. The cable was a bit worn, so I swapped that out. New cable, inner and outer. Then I thought, well, this screw was damaged, so the derailleur's had a hit at some stage. That's going to cause the issue. I swapped that out for a spare Acera one I had lying around. Did the exact same thing. So that took us to here. As you can see, new shift brake lever thingy. Had an old one lying around, and that's fixed it. So there was just a bit too much stickiness in that shift mechanism, the older one. I pulled it apart, didn't look that bad, gave it a clean, but this one has it shifting beautifully now. So pretty much all that's left. Got to redo the bearings in that front wheel as well because they are shot. Other than that, a bit of a clean and we're back together. So with the shifting issues sorted and the front and rear brakes sorted, we've just got to finish up with the wheels, get those done, general clean, and then it's just a case of putting it all back together and giving it their final wash to make sure they all look very pretty back in the hands of their kids and Emily. So super excited to finally be getting most of these done. They've had to sit around for a while just because of work and other commitments getting in the way, but overall quite a fun experience getting to help someone out and also just bringing these lives back to life for a while longer at least. So really enjoyed this process so far. Just want to take a moment to thank the 3 lovely people that donated to my Buy Me a Coffee or directly to my 9lives.com merch page. Super helpful. Thank you so much. Name's on screen here. They helped me get this nice set of headlight and taillight for Emily as she'll be commuting at night, and also just helped towards the rest of the parts that I needed to complete these builds. So thank you so much. Please head over and check those out if you'd like to help in the future, or just grab yourself a sweet bit of merch. Anyway, let's get these washed up and back to the kids. Just on the way to drop off the bikes to Emily and the kids, so I hope they like them, and I'm a little bit nervous really, so we'll see how we go. So we've got the bikes back, all fixed, back to Emily, we're dropping them off, and Emily's a bit shy on the camera, and so am I completely understand it, so we're not getting any crazy footage, but she did allow me to use a little bit of audio. So I've put in a little clip here, which sums it up for me and makes it all worth it.
It would just be so good to have you flash back, honestly. I really can't tell you how appreciative of it I am.
No worries at all.
A few days after dropping off the bikes, I got this lovely message and nice family photo from Emily after they got back from their first bike ride together in a long time. So that really did make this worth everything I put into it. And I'd like to thank Emily for trusting me with her and her kids' bikes, trusting an absolute stranger to take them off their hands and do what was right. Also like to thank the supporters. Thank you so much. It means so much that people actually donated, and it really did help. If you'd like to support this in the future and maybe see more of these types of restorations for families in need, please check out my 9livesrides.com page or the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description below. For now, thank you so much once again. Safe riding, get wrenching, and have a great day.